Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How's things?
Yeah, really good, mate.
Good to see you. For those viewers and listeners that don't know much about you, you can introduce yourself in a minute, but fresh off the back of the Hunted.
Yes.
And I'm a big Hunted fan, so I've got loads of questions about who won because I've got one episode left. But so we go straight to that because I know it's probably the freshest thing, and I've seen you all over the socials and on LinkedIn, etc. It looks like you've done some brilliant work on there. But was it good? Was it enjoyable?
Yeah, it was. It's not as glamorous as people think.
Right. Okay.
Being out on the road all day. I mean, we start filming early doors, and they have gameplay hours that you're working through. So we could be starting at like 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll only be getting our hotel at like 10 o'clock at night, and you could be anywhere in the country.
Right.
Obviously, where them pesky fugitives head, we've got a head. So we could start one morning. We started in Wales. We could be down in London or Brighton or anywhere. And yeah, when you only get in your hotel room at 10 o'clock, you then need to feed, and then you get your head down, and then you've got to be up early in the morning to start again. So it's tough, but it was really fun.
I've probably gone straight in there with the most superficial question about the Hunted, because if you actually take it serious, what you've done in your life, it's fascinating, Aaron, to have been a Royal Marines Commando, which in one sense is something that a minute element of society can do and complete and pass, to then having a catastrophic injury, a life-changing injury, but then to go on to the journey that you've had of late over recent years of being an inspiration, a motivational speaker, a PGA golfer, something I'm extremely jealous about as well, skydiving instructor. The story goes on, the list goes on, and what's really fascinating about that is, this whole premise of this podcast is about character, and to a certain degree, you're kind of the epitome of what that means, because you've gone through such challenge with success, post that real adversity, but then dealt with adversity in what at face value looks like a very positive way. But that's at face value. I don't know what's going on under the surface there, so it'd be good to understand today. But for those viewers and listeners that don't know much about who you are, okay to just give us a quick summary?
Yeah, I joined the Royal Marines in 2006 at the young age of 17. Managed to get through Royal Marine training as an original.
Brilliant.
For those that don't know what that is, it's basically we do 32 weeks of hell. A lot of people get injured along the way, get back troops, or just drop out. But I managed to do the 32 in one go. We started with 52 lads. Out of that 52, there was only 12 of us passed out as originals. So that was pretty cool start to my story, to be fair.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 2009, I was in Afghanistan in a Viking, which is a big armoured vehicle. We drove straight over the top of an IED that were buried underground. I got ejected from the vehicle. The vehicle moved 10 foot. In the hole the bomb caused, I was in that. I kept my right leg at first, but I'd smashed my heel bone completely. Both bones in my lower right leg were shattered to bits. My leg were blown quite wide open. I dislocated both my knees, broke my femur, broke my hip, dislocated my hip. I broke my back, ruptured my spleen, and broke my collarbone, and had a little cut on my chin.
Wow.
So I was in a bad way. I was still wide awake, so I could see myself in bits. The lads come rushing to me. We all pumped morphine in me. I gave myself some. The lads gave me some. Got me on a flight, and within 24 hours I was back in the UK. I did also die on that flight twice, and they had to bring me back. Landed in the UK, straight into intensive care, and was put in an induced coma for about 2 months. So yeah, it was a weird way to kind of go out of the Royal Marines, but a year later they kept trying to save my leg, couldn't save it, so they give me the option. I can either stay as I am, which I was stuck on, wheelchairs, crutches, loads of painkillers. I could walk, but not very well. I could either stay like that for the rest of my life, or I could have my leg amputated. So it was a no-brainer, get my leg off and let's go. Obviously, they don't want one-legged Royal Marines, so I was medically discharged in 2011. From there I came out, bounced from thing to thing, became a PT, like the regular Royal Marine things, because in my head I weren't disabled, I weren't injured, I was still a Royal Marine. So I did the PT route. I went down the close protection route, did that for a while, and then became a PGA professional golfer. I'd been playing golf since getting injured. I met a company called a charity organisation called On Course Foundation. They got me back into playing golf, showed me that it was a sport that, just because I've got a disability, because they have the handicap system in golf, everybody plays on a level playing field. which I really like, because my mentality was, I'm not disabled, I'm still able-bodied, I can still do everything anybody else can. So put me in a sport where there's a handicap system that doesn't matter how many limbs I'm missing, what my ability is, I'm equal to everybody. That's brilliant. So they showed me that, and I threw my life into it, and yeah, managed to get my handicap down low enough and do the PGA degree and turn pro. Did that for about 3 or 4 years. Woke up one morning, and at first I did it for myself, but I also did it to show people what you can achieve. And it started, like, the support online, people messaging me saying, oh, you got me into sport, really love watching you. That had slowed down a little bit, and I realised I was just doing it for myself at this point, and I didn't enjoy the game enough to do it. I wasn't in the right place to continue playing golf. I got to the highest level I could get to. I was never going to be on tour. I was never that good. So I walked away. Again, started doing things, did a bit of charity work, went into speaking then for a little bit, and spoke to businesses, schools, stuff like that. And then, yeah, I was offered the opportunity to become the world's first amputee indoor skydiving instructor. Went to iFly at Manchester. The head bosses were saying it's not worth it because nobody's ever done it as an amputee. But the boss at Manchester took me to the tunnel. He had a chat with me, and he was like, I think you're worth the risk, let's do it. So I went away and did the 4-week course and smashed it. Come back and instructed there for a year until I fell off a mountain bike and ripped a muscle off the bone on my stump. And when you're injured, you can't instruct because of insurance reasons. So they said, go away, get fixed, and come back when you're better. And I just never went back because I went on to other things. To be fair, I've never been fixed either. I've still got the muscle hanging off now. But I started playing rugby league for Wigan Warriors disabled team. I started playing. I lasted 4 minutes. And I had, after getting blown up, I had my PCL left in my left knee, which is probably the weakest ligament you've got out of the 4 that you should have. And I snapped that in, my studs just stayed stuck in the floor. I turned and my knee snapped. So then I had the choice of either getting my stump fixed or getting an ACL reconstruction in my knee, because I'm too young to have a full knee reconstruction. So I sat down with the doctors and said, well, I've managed with this playing rugby. I need a knee. If you can give me an ACL, I've done 10 years up until that point, if not more, with a PCL, and I've achieved all this. Give me an ACL, which is probably the best ligament to have, and then I'm unstoppable. So I had my ACL done. And then I just kind of got a bit lazy. I say lazy is probably the wrong word. Comfortable is probably the better word. Just doing normal 9-to-5 jobs, not really achieving anything anymore. But I was going through recovery, so I got to a point where I feel like I'd recovered, but I stuck in that comfortable zone, and I didn't like it. But then at the start of this year, I got rushed into hospital with a blood clot on my lungs and heart, which the doctors said I wouldn't see the morning. I obviously did see the morning. They don't know I've got more lives than a cat. So I woke up the next morning and had the focus in my head, right now, we've had another brush with death here. Like, we can't be comfortable anymore. We need to push forward and start achieving things that we want, which then led to being, like, luckily somebody reached out to me on Instagram who was a researcher for the show on Hunted and said, would you like coming on the show? And I thought they meant as a contestant at first. So we had a phone call and they was like, no, we want you as one of the hunters. So I was just like, yeah, no problem, I'll do it. So I did the casting call, got the role, and I knew that was that point where this is that thing, I need to push my boundaries again, do something I'm not comfortable with. And yeah, see where we can go from there. And that led me to where I am now and sat here talking to you.
We feel strongly here that your character is something that partly that you're born with, and then primarily it grows through experiences, whether that be influential people, parents, siblings, teachers, coaches, co-workers, bosses. It just kind of migrates its way through life. What was yours like? What was the upbringing like for yourself?
Yeah, I come from a good family. I grew up playing rugby league. I grew up in West Orton, not too far from here, and yeah, my mum and dad had everything. My dad worked hard. They were both prison officers to start off with. My dad worked every hour God sends to give me everything I wanted. I never missed a rugby practice. I was at every game. There was one of my parents at least at every game. If my dad was working, couldn't make it for any reason, but if any chance he was off, he'd be there. So yeah, I was lucky. Like, I've not come from a bad upbringing. I was never the best kid, and never was brilliant at school. That just wasn't me. But yeah, I think I think from early doors, like going through school and not being the best kid teaches you a lot and builds your character, because you end up in trouble a lot. I was in detention all the time. I was skipping school when I could, and looking back now, I realise it's not the way to go. But it was my start in life, and I suppose I probably learnt a lot of lessons from it later in life. Looking back now, thinking, wish I could have done it a bit differently, but I'm still where I am, and I've been quite lucky, really.
Parents extremely hard working. You're into rugby. I suppose if you correlate them two things together, you're not a million miles away from a Royal Marine. Someone who's tough, fit, aggressive, on balance, but also very, very hard working. So you kind of had that foundation like already set to a certain extent for you. But where did the inspiration come from to become a Royal?
I think it's come from my granddad, to be honest. He was in the army in the World War,
right?
And I can remember being a little kid sitting on his knee and telling me all these war stories. I was always fascinated. From an early age, I've never really admitted this. Obviously, being in the military, you probably understand why. But from an early age, I always wanted to be in the RAF and be a fighter pilot because I'd watched Top Gun. I don't own up to wanting to be in the RAF anymore. But yeah, no. When I started looking into joining, I knew I was never going down the academic route because, like I said, I was never the best kid at school. It weren't that I weren't clever enough. I just didn't. It just did not suit me that sitting in that school environment. But when I started looking into the military, we were already fighting in Iraq. Afghan was starting to kick off, so I sat down and did my research and thought, like, if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna be getting shot at here for a living. Like, I'm gonna go to war. It's inevitable. But if I'm gonna do that, I want to be the best trained. So I did the research and I found the Royal Marines do the longest, hardest training of any infantry in the world. So I was like, well, if I want to go and get shot at, I want to be the best trained in the world. So that's the way to go. So yeah, I thought if it's that or nothing. So I went down to the careers office and luckily did it.
Yeah. You said before that you were one of 12 out of 52 that joined, and from start to finish, it's only 12 of you that completed. So what was that journey like?
Hell on earth. I'd do it all over again, but if somebody gave me the chance to go in training again, I'd question it. But talking to them values, like one of the ones that has always stuck with me, and it always will, and I think it's the biggest one on character, is cheerfulness in the face of adversity. And looking at my story and everything, I've never let anything bring me down. Like, whenever it comes to whatever I've gone on to achieve, I've kept that cheerful. Like, even when I'm at the toughest times, and as you say, we'll talk about Route 66 in a bit, but that's going to come into play so much along that route. It is probably the biggest value I can take from the Royal Marines and use in everyday life, because as long as you face everything with a smile, everything comes out better anyway.
Absolutely. So were you conscious that was a thing when you were going through your training? Because adversity is something you undoubtedly would face near on every day for 32 weeks, and probably much long after once becoming a Marine. Was it something that you consciously had to think about, or do you think it was just something that was kind of instilled in you to believe?
I think it gets drummed into you subconsciously, because ever since, like, with the REBORN stuff that I do now and the talks I deliver, you have a thing called the adversity equation, which is adversity plus response equals outcome. Right. So adversity is just a thing. Yeah. The outcome's determined by how you respond to it. So if you have a positive response, you're going to get a positive outcome in it. And that's come apparent from Royal Marines. So when you get to them parts where it was the toughest, and you get lads that were like, I can't hack it, like, and they quit, and they get that negative response, that negative outcome, and they go home. Or if you look at it and go, like, do you know what, like, this is really, really bad, but if I get over it and learn from it, it doesn't mean my response just needs to be a positive one. It doesn't mean it's going to get rid of that adversity and it's going to make it all better. Yeah. But as long as I can learn from it, my outcome's still going to be positive. So I think that gets drummed into you quite early on. You don't realise it as much. I don't think it's only looking back now, whilst I'm doing my talks and setting my programmes up, that I've realised more about it, like, in hindsight. But at the time, I think it's just drilled into you because you're that knackered. You run ragged, you think you're treated like you're the lowest of the low, the way you spoke to, everything you have to do, you feel like you're down here, like, but as you pass out and you get given that green lid, like, you go from being down here to being, like, you walk around, I can remember getting to my first unit, which was Faslane in Scotland, right, and it's a Navy camp, And I can remember walking around, and there were all these Matlows walking around, the Navy men and ladies and Wrens. They were all cutting around, and I was there with my green lid on, my Royal Marines Commando flash, and my chest was out here. I was like 10. I thought I was hard as nails just because I'd done that 32 weeks and I got that green lid. But then you start learning that what has been drilled into you means something, and like you say, you don't realise it at the time, but it is definitely, there's a purpose behind everything they do.
Absolutely. And before we move past your training, what was the toughest part of it?
Ironing.
Really?
No, without joking about it, that could be possibly up there, to be fair, because you beasted all day, every day, you're that knackered, but you're still up to like 3 o'clock in the morning, because you've got to have the right creases in your trousers, or your boots have got to be shiny enough, your bed's got to be folded perfectly, stuff like that. I mean, we have the Royal Marines magazine, which is called The Globe and Laurel, and all our shirts, jumpers, everything that was folded in our cupboard had to be folded to the size of the Globe and Laurel.
Right.
And you try and get a thick woolly jumper to the size of an A4 magazine, it is not easy. Yeah. So yeah, that was tough, but I'd probably go towards the end of training and the commando tests. For those that don't know, we have 4 commando tests. We have the 9-mile speed march, which is done as a unit set by the PTIs. We just have to complete that one. You have the SARS and assault course, which is the high ropes course, followed by the normal assault course with a 30-foot wall to climb up. You then have the endurance course, which is 2 miles of tunnels and muddy treks and pools and everything, and then a 4-mile run back to camp. And then you finish with the 30-miler across Dartmoor with, I think it's £30 on your back, or £40, I can't quite remember now. But yeah, you've got to do that in, I think it's 7.5 hours, 8 hours. Yeah. All over Dartmoor, which you've probably been to Dartmoor yourself. It's not the flattest or easiest place to traverse. So yeah, the 30-miler was probably mine. Everybody had the worst test, but the 30-miler was probably my worst one. Yeah. And you noticed, and that's a big thing that I've found that's helped me later in life as well, is everybody hits the wall at a different point on the 30-miler. I was bang in the middle. I was coming into the mid checkpoint when you get force-fed a Cornish pasty and a banana and some Haribo, and like the last thing you want to do is eat a Cornish pasty at that point. But there's a reason that they force-feed you it. But I was getting to that point, I was just like, I'm done here. And the only thing that really helped me get through was thinking, like, if you fail one of your commando tests, you get one more attempt the day after.
Right. Oh, okay.
So in my head, I was like, if I fail a 30-miler today, there's no way I'm doing 30 miles tomorrow. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And I was just thinking, every time I got to a tough point in training, it was pretty much the same. If I fail or I get back trooped at this point, I'm going to have to relive that 2 weeks. Right. And I did not want to have to do that 2 weeks again. But I had a friend who hit the wall like 3-4 mile in. Right. And because we were already knackered anyway from the other tests, the week prior to the commando test, you spend a week in the field, so you're not really sleeping, you're not really eating. Yeah. So you're just knackered by the time you get into them. And yeah, one of the lads hit it about 3-4 mile in, but by about 10 mile he was right as rain and enjoyed the but then you pick up watching people like that going, well, he's gone through that, he's hit that wall, he's climbed over it, he's kept going, and now look at him. Yeah. So when you hit that wall, you've got that instilled in your head that, like, do you know what, I've hit the wall many a time throughout training. Like, this is no different. Like, just climb that wall again. Let's go. And exactly. Luckily, I got through it and got that green lid at the end, which was a proud moment.
And we think about, character values. Was there any commonality between the 12? Do you think there's any values or mindsets or similarities as to why that batch of people got through from start to finish?
I think a lot of it's luck. Right. To get through 32 weeks of training without getting injured, it's very, very tough. Like when I say there's only 12 of us made it, a few, well, not a lot of them, but a few of the other lads that didn't finish with us, they'd have been back trooped 2, 4, 6 weeks. The new troop started every 2 weeks, so you could either get back to troop 2, or they had a company called Hunter Company where injured lads went in there to rehab, and then once they were fit enough, they could rejoin training at the point where they left. Right. So to make it through as the 12, there is an element of luck that you're not one of the ones that get injured. But yeah, I think it'd be more just the perseverance and the idea of having a purpose. Yeah. Like you want that, and I've said this to anybody who spoke to me since. I've met a lot of youngsters that are, I want to go in the Royal Marines. Have you got any advice? And my biggest advice is, and that's probably what the rest of the lads thought as well, was you've got to want it. It's not something you do and just give it a try. If you're that guy that wants to say you're a Royal Marine when you go out on the beer and just look big and hard because you're a Royal Marine, you ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
It's got to be something you want to do with a passion and a purpose. And then when you get to them tough times, that's what gets you through it, because you know this is for me. Like, I told everybody before I left that I'm going to be a Royal Marine Commando.
Right.
So at them times, I can't come home a failure in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I've told. I've bragged about and bragged that I'm going to do this because it's passion, something I'm passionate about.
What values or lessons from that training of 32 weeks kind of still live with you today? Is there anything that got instilled so much that, 20 years next year?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that they're still with you?
That made me feel old, mate. Thanks.
You don't look it.
I know, I'm getting a few greys now, but a lot of it, I think everything that I do now, everything I've gone on to achieve, everything I'm hoping to go on and achieve, it all draws back from my experience from training.
Really? Yeah.
Even Afghanistan, my career throughout the Marines, everything I did comes back to the things that, and you don't, like I said earlier, you don't realise that they're getting instilled in you. You just think they're treating me like crap here for no reason. Like, why? I mean, one day we have a thing called a mud run where Lympstone backs onto an estuary, and every troop has to do a mud run. Right. And it's either a beasting or you go down and you have a bit of a laugh, you play rugby, and it's a bit of a, and we'd had probably our best week in training ever. But what I didn't realise till after training is if they want to take you on the mud run, they've got to book it weeks in advance because they need permissions from camp, they need to know the tidal structure and everything like that. And we were all buzzing because we were having such a good week. We'd not screwed anything up, we'd not really been beasting much, everything was going well. And then we got marched down to the mud and we was thinking, it'd be a game of rugby this or something, we're going to have a right good laugh. We got beasted till our eyes bled. It was horrendous. They brought us back up to camp and it was like, right lads, you've had your beasted now. Lean against the walls, cream walls like in here. Camo, all dirty camos and stuff. So we're there leaning against the walls. They're like, roll around, do what you want, write your names on them. So we thought, we're having a bit of a laugh now. Then we had 10 minutes to get the whole accommodation cleaned, ourselves cleaned and into PT rigging in the gym, which obviously you ain't going to do. So then when we got to the gym, lads still had little bits of mud behind their ear and stuff, so we got beasted again in the gym. And you sat there thinking like, why? Why?
Yeah.
But then afterwards you realise why, because from the back of that, we did lose one or two, and you're like, they've not got the strength to keep going to, because obviously the places we're going to, you need to be strong enough, and that's where they broke, and that was their breaking point. So you understand why, because they want the toughest, they want the most resilience, they want the ones with the best character and the never give up attitude, and that's the way they get it, by trying to break you down and break you down and break you down, to show that you can build yourself back up and overcome it.
So post training up to Faslane. You're there for a couple of years before Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, I went up to Faslane, did a few months up at Faslane. Didn't enjoy it at Faslane.
Right. It's submarines, right?
We got taken on one of the V-subs, which is the nuclear ones, biggest ones we've got, and I was on there for about 5 minutes. I was like, get me off it, I don't like it. How them guys spend months underwater.
Take me back to Lympstone.
To be fair, I'd do Lympstone over being a submariner. I'd take me off to them guys by something else. But it was more of a security kind of job for a Royal Marine. It's not. The lads, some of the lads went straight to 40 Commando who just were getting ready to deploy. Right. I'd put in for 40, but I didn't get the option. And you've seen your mates getting ready to deploy and stuff, and you're stuck up in Scotland. You're like, I want to do the Royal Marine job. This is what I've trained for. I've gone through all this hell just to be able to go out and fight, and now you're keeping me in Scotland looking after a submarine. But luckily, I put in for Armoured Support Group, which is the Vikings, and they were doing 3 months on, 3 months off. Then they were only a small specialisation, so they were just getting hammered. Like they would literally go out for 3 months, come home, back out, and they were doing tour after tour after tour, which to me at the time sounded amazing. Like that's what I've trained for. I want to do it. So I put in for that, and I got a detachment down in Northwood in Watford. Faslane sent me down there, and I started playing rugby for the Royal Navy under-23s. So they kept me at Northwood for a year and a half because I could get away to play rugby when I wanted. That my draft finished, and I was like, oh, can I go general duties now at one of the commando units? There was like, oh no, you've put in for armoured support here. You can go there now. And I was like, so yeah, I ended up. All the lads were saying it was like driving a tin coffin, really, because we were getting hammered with them. IEDs, but they were one of the most armoured vehicles out in Afghan. So I went and did the training, and deployed. By that point, they'd gone to 6 months. Because I think RCR and QRH from the army had adopted the Vikings, so it was nice because it was just a Royal Marine vehicle at first. By that point, because the army had come on board, we do a Herrick, they'd do a Herrick, we do a Herrick, and took a lot of stress off the lads as well, which was nice. But yeah, it was my first deployment, and didn't even get to do the full 6 months.
So do you want to just tell the listeners about the deployment? What was the purpose of it, the premise of it? Where was it located? Like, where did you go and what for?
We landed in Camp Bastion, and then I spent my whole time down in a region called Nadi Ali. We were in a patrol base for the whole time. The next time I saw Camp Bastion was when I got blown up. The day I got blown up, we'd done a supply run up to Lashkargah, and we were just on our way back. We were going into the local villages, working with the locals a lot, hearts and minds, and for all the negative press that Afghanistan got, I got to see firsthand the good that we actually did out there. The locals loved us. We was bringing fresh food and water to villages, medicine, education. Young girls were getting educated, which was unheard of before. And so seeing all that, like, we'd roll into town in the Vikings, and kids are trying to climb up on the vehicle and high five you on top cover and stuff. It was amazing to see, but obviously, like, you've got the bad side of Afghanistan as well, which the locals are too scared of, and they're not inclined to help us because they know what will happen if they do. So it just becomes an impossible job, really. But yeah, it was an interesting place. I loved it. I'd go back if I did it all again. I wouldn't miss it, even up to even including getting blown up. I'd do it all over again. It was the best job I've ever done, and it's made me who I am today.
Sure
to be fair. And I think I learned just as much from getting blown up as I did from Royal Marines training, to be fair. Right.
And do you mind talking us through the day?
Yeah. Well, like I say, we're on a patrol run back from Lashkargah. At night time, we drive by a little computer screen, so we black out the windows. There's an infrared camera on the front, and we drive. It's like playing the Xbox in a way, but with a steering wheel. So you can see the vehicles in front. You keep your tracks on their tracks. And the IED that hit me was buried a little bit too deep under the sand, but the sand was wet, so it was a pressure pad. So what happened was the first vehicle went over it, compressed the sand. The second vehicle compressed it a bit more. Right. By the time I was in the middle vehicle hit it, sand's compressed enough to put pressure on the pressure pad. Boom, and they've split up a convoy as well, which was quite clever. You've got to give him credit for that, to be fair. And like I said earlier, I got blown through the armoured door, a door which bullets can't go through, but I managed. And yeah, the bomb caused, I was in that. I can remember looking around, first of all, trying to find my pistol, because I thought if it kicks off, I need to be able to protect myself. Felt like probably a lifetime. I think I felt like I was on the floor for a few hours before the lads got to me, but in reality, it was probably about 10 minutes. I can see it in my head, and the images go like in and out. I think it's probably me like losing consciousness a little bit. I remember the lads getting to me, giving me morphine, telling me I'm gonna be all right and stuff. And then once I'm put on that helo, like the helicopter, even that was me done. Like I don't remember a thing till I woke up in Birmingham.
Really? Okay. And how long was that period of time between incident in Birmingham?
I landed. They got me back in the UK within 24 hours. Wow. I was blue lighted to Selly Oak Hospital in Birmingham, and then I was put in an induced coma for about 2 months. Wow. Did all the initial life saving operations on me then, but apparently if they woke me up straight away, the amount of injuries I had, the pain had just killed me straight away. So they kept me under. Why they managed to get my pain under control, my operations fixed, legs fixed, bones fixed. Yeah, it was an interesting time.
The reason I wanted to probe deep on the commando course was that is extremely challenging through choice. You're all volunteers, you all turn up, you give it all you've got for 32 weeks, and hopefully at the other end of it you've achieved what you want to. I think what's so interesting about someone's character is how you respond when something happens to you that you didn't choose and didn't want to happen. And did life become even more challenging post the incident than it ever was before?
Yes and no. I was still a Royal Marine in my head.
Right.
And during training, you get told bullets bounce off you and all this. You're hard as nails, and as long as I've got that green lid, nothing can kill me and all that. But I think what you said then, like we choose to do training, but choosing to do training is just the same as choosing to go to Afghan. Nobody forced me. I signed up. So when I got blown up, my mindset was the fact that, right, I knew this was a risk. I still chose to do the job.
Yeah.
It's happened. Let's deal with it and move forward. And I'm quite, it sounds bad when you say this, but I'm fortunate in the fact that when I was on intensive care and I woke up, the guy in the bed next to me, another Royal Marine, a good friend of mine, he'd lost both his legs. So at the time, I'd still got my leg. I was in a lot of pain, but he's a lot worse than me. And then I bumped into people like a gentleman called Mark Ormrod. He was the first trepper amputee of the Afghan war. So when you get talking to Mark and stuff, and you see everything he's doing and he's smashing life, and I'm like, oh, I can't really win here, can I? Like, I'm nowhere near as bad as he is. So let's just crack on and get down. And I think when the decision to have my leg amputated came, it was like a no-brainer. I'd seen lads get blown up after me and lose a leg in the same place below me, and they're out running and they live in life to the fullest. And I'm like, I'm still stuck in a wheelchair here, or I'm on crutches, or at best I can walk 100 meters or whatever. And I was just like, this is a no-brainer. This, like, I want to be where he is. I don't want to be where I am. Which it helped with the decision. I always say to people nowadays, like, don't always compare yourself to someone else, but it helped seeing someone else that was in that position and how they developed. And I was like, I want to develop me. I want to be the best me I can be again. Yeah. And the only way I can do that is cutting off a dead piece of me, cut it off and let's go.
And you said it was kind of an easy decision. Do you look back and think how monumental that decision was?
There are times when you look back and you go, life would be so much easier with two legs. But then I remember what leg I had and it was no use to me. So, it was a monumental decision, but I think it also helped me in the long run shape my life. And I'm firm, but I'm not very superstitious or religious, but I definitely do believe everything happens for a reason. And it delivers you to where you are. And if I'd not got blown up, in my head I was Royal Marines for life. That was me. But I've come out, I've met my beautiful wife, and I've got an amazing little boy now. So I possibly wouldn't have had them if I'd stayed in and not got blown up. So everything delivers you to where you need to be at the right time. You just have to do the work to make it worthwhile.
And how did family deal with what happened to you?
When my mum and dad found out that somebody from the Royal Marines comes knocking on the door telling them your son's been blown up in Afghanistan, so they think the worst straight away. Even to this day, my mum reminds me all the time about that knock on the door and how hard it was for her. So, I do sympathise for them because they didn't choose this. I chose it. Luckily, I was back in 24 hours, so they could be at Selly Oak to meet me. Right. It's got to have been tough. I was away a lot still in rehab and in hospital, so you don't see the fallout of what's happening at home as much. But as a family unit, we get through it, and everybody's supporting me, and especially like my wife now. Like I couldn't fault that woman. She puts up with a hell of a lot as we read out what I do and obviously what I'm going on to do next year and the things I'd come home with these crazy ideas and she's like, do you know what, I'm going to do this, and she's like, right, how do we do it? There's never once does she doubt me. Does she say, do you know what, have you ever thought of just calming down a little bit and like settling, or because she knows that's not me and she supports me in it. If it works or it doesn't work, she always backs me. So I'm very, very lucky in that sense. Was
there a kind of a light bulb moment as to say, who am I now?
Yeah, eventually. At first, when I first got discharged, I think that was the toughest part of it. Losing the leg I could deal with, the injury, all the other injuries I could deal with. But having that career taken away from me through not my choice, that was the toughest part of it. I come out, I was, like I said, I was on Civvy Street, but everybody says, oh, you'll reintegrate, all right? And I'm like, how can I reintegrate into something as an adult. I've never integrated into.
Yeah.
I joined the Royal Marines at 17. I grew up as a man in the Royal Marines.
Yeah.
I don't know civilian life.
Sure.
So you can't tell me how reintegrate, and that was the toughest part. I found myself a lot. I was waiting for the pub to open at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was in the pub every night, hanging around with some of the wrong people at first. And yeah, I got to a point where I was just like, I think it was meeting my wife. Like that was the turning point in my life where I was like, I've got someone now that this matters to as well. Like it's not just me anymore. And I went from going from why me to what now, what next, and just that change in mindset, that from why me going to something that's defined my past to what's next, look at the future. Just that tiny little change in mindset made a massive difference. Yeah, and it was then instead of focusing on what has been, let's focus on what we want and where we want to go and what we need to get and how do we get there. Like it's a bit different nowadays with GPS, but back in the day when you had them big AA road maps, and you'd have to, you can't get from A to B without knowing.
Now you're showing your age.
I know, it's bad, isn't it? I was only a kid though. But yeah, you can't get from point A to point B without knowing the direction. So you need to know where you want to go, and just that change from what had happened and realising that. And that's where the REBORN came from, to be fair, was that defines that part of my life, and then REBORN, what I do next, that doesn't define my life, that defines the past. Like you said, your life's a book, isn't it? That's one chapter closed. What's the next chapter? Let's be reborn and develop that next chapter. Let's not dwell in what's been. Let's look to the future and what's going forward. And like I say, meeting my wife, and she had that kind of same mindset with me, and she was really supportive of everything. And I then realised that I've got someone else to make happy and proud again now. And yeah, it pushed me forward drastically.
What were the darkest days on?
My purpose was being that elite soldier, having a war zone to go and fight in, because that's what you train to do. That's where you're comfortable. And I had no war zone anymore. Like, my war zone was at home, and I'm like, this isn't what I know. And it was tough. Like, and back when I got discharged, like, I believe it's a hell of a lot better now, but they weren't brilliant at looking after us when we got discharged. I mean, I was home on leave, and I got a phone call saying, have you cleaned out your room? I was like, yeah. And they was like, oh, well, you don't need to come back down. And I got off the phone, and I sat there, and like, I'd met my wife by this point, and she was like, are you all right? And I was like, I think I'm a civvy. And she's like, what do you mean you think? And I'm like, well, just been told I don't have to go back. And I'm like, what do I do now? Like, like, even up until that point of that phone call, even though I've been told I'd be being medically discharged, up until that point of that phone call, I was still in. That one defining moment of that phone call was like, wow, like, what do I do now? And getting blown up was tough, but I still had a purpose at the time. To take that purpose away from me, my life comes pointless, I thought. But then I realised all I have to do is just reignite that purpose somewhere else and pivot and move forward.
Certainly when it comes down to dedicating your life, nearly giving your life, and to a certain degree, it ends with quite a cold phone call. And you're not expecting to get, piped out the regiment and, have a marching band for you, but at least you'd expect something maybe further more than just a phone call. Say, oh, by the way, you probably don't even need to come back. The bed space is empty now. You may as well just stay where you are. It doesn't feel like a fitting end, considering what the story was like. And
back then, there was that many lads getting injured, and they were still learning the ways and how to deal with us, what to do with us, and they weren't used to such large numbers of lads getting medically discharged from the IED problems and stuff like that. So it's a learning curve for them just as much as it was for me. So I've never been bitter about it. It's just one of them that it was the turning point in my life.
When telling this story, like you've just done today, what do you hope that people get from it?
Like, the whole idea behind what I do now, I think it helps me, for one. Yeah. We talked before we came on about, I've been looking never to have PTSD, but I think that's because I openly talk about my story. I relate to it, and I put it into a box to know what aspects of it I'm going to get from it, what I've gained from that. And because I'm vocal about it, I think that's helped me mentally. But also, this sounds really daft now, but I've been blown up. I almost died at Christmas. I've done all that. I've done the golf. I've done everything I've done it's all in the past. But if I may as well make it worthwhile. I may as well getting blown. It's happened to me, so I may as well make some good out of it. And if I can use that story to help somebody going through a tough time, or like I say with the reborn thing, everybody can be reborn, and it doesn't have to be from getting blown up. It could be just you've just lost your partner, or you're going through a tough breakup, or you're not happy at work. Or it could be anything. And if you could, the joy of my story, I feel, I hope, is the fact that it's relatable in a weird way. Like getting blown up's not relatable, but how I've overcome it, how I've adapted, the mindset I've used, the tips and tricks that I've used along the way. I've done it to the extreme levels, but you can adapt that into your personal story, and you can be like, well, if he can be reborn from that, I can be reborn from this. So hopefully going out sharing my story and the other mindset things that I talk about, hopefully it helps. If I can help one person in the world make their world a bit brighter, then it makes me all the things I've been through worthwhile doing.
Absolutely, and you obviously got reborn on your jumper there for those that are just listening. And at Commando Joe's, we've got our respect values, and they're the kind of like the beating heart of this organisation. But that's an acronym, right? Reborn. Yeah. So, and they're all values based, aren't they? Ultimately, there's kind of a story behind each letter, which is I suppose similar to what we have. What are they, by the way?
So yeah, I class them as the 6 pillars of reborn. Yeah. So when I do my talks, like if I do a long I have a 7-week package and stuff like that, I'll do it on a letter each week, or even if it's a 90-minute talk, it's recognising your reality, embrace your change, build resilience, own your mindset, reignite your purpose, and finally never quit, which I think is probably the biggest one of the lot, which is good that it comes at the end. Quite lucky that they fit into the reborn, really. But yeah, no, it's the pillars of what I've used over my time to develop my life. And every time I've gone into a new challenge, or whenever I've faced adversity or any other challenge in my life, as I said before, with that adversity outcome, to get that positive response, these are the things I've gone through. So you start at the beginning, and with the prisoners, it's a big one, was recognising your reality. You're here, but why are you here? Like, recognise you, like, stop pointing them fingers. If you point a finger, there's always 3 pointing back at you. Like, remember, like, be honest with yourself. It's them honest conversations in the mirror, or sitting down and just being like, do you know what? I am here. This is my reality because of this. If you can't be honest, then you're still blaming everybody else. You're never going to be able to move on to the embracing change. You've got to know the source of it and be honest with yourself. No one's coming to save you. You're only going to save yourself. So it works really well, I believe, and it relates. I can relate every bit of it to my story, and every time I've gone through a challenge and every time I've come out the other side, it's been the basis of this. And I always compare it to like the highs and lows. You're always going to go up, you're always going to come down. But I compare it back to Christmas, and when I was in hospital and I was sat there looking at the heart rate monitor, and it's going up and down and up and down, and I realised, like, as your heartbeat goes up, as your heart beats and pumps blood around your body, it sends you to the top, and then when it stops and it doesn't pump blood around your body, it's when it drops. Same as life and any adversity you face. You're going to have times when you're up here. There's going to be times when you drop down here. But to get back up to the top on that screen, my heart has to physically do something and pump that blood around my body. So in life, when I hit all my challenges and I hit this, I use my reborn now to be like, right, that's me doing something to get me back up here. If I don't do anything, you're just going to stay there, and in hospital, that's never a good thing. So if you can compare that to your journey in life, wherever you're at, whenever you're at the bottom, don't panic, because all it takes is you doing something. One little step will send you back up to the top eventually. But you've got to physically do it, and that's where the reborn ideas came from, and the pillars, to be able to use them to work that step back up to the top and get your heart pumping again.
Whilst you're talking, it got me thinking, you've done all of this, you've set Reborn up, you're out there speaking in public, you're doing a whole bank of work. Where did you fit in being a skydiving instructor and a professional golfer? Where did that go? You've lived 1,000 lives.
I think, like I say, it was coming off the back of losing my leg. I met a gentleman called John Simpson, who owned the On Course Foundation. John come and visited me in East Grinstead Hospital, where I had the amputation, and he brought a jacket for me, an On Course Foundation jacket, and told me, this was like November, December time, I had my leg off. He said, in March, I'm taking you to Florida with a bunch of lads. And I was like, I've literally just had my leg cut off. I ain't going to Florida in March. True to his word, he took me out there. I was on my first prosthetic. Couldn't play golf every day because my leg was still a bit tender, but he still took me. And I found the love for the game. And as I said earlier, it's that level playing field with the handicap system. So I threw myself, and I think, as I've shown throughout life, whenever I do something, I've got to get to the best me I can be. I'm not bothered about being the best in the world. I've just got to be the best me. And I got to that stage. I did the PJ degree. I was fortunate that I met a gentleman who worked for Nike who sponsored me then. They took me up to the Scottish Open and I got to play in the Pro-Am with Tommy Fleetwood, which was unbelievable. And he's gone on to achieve amazing things since. So I like to think it's because
he's had an amazing year this year.
Yeah, it's all off the back of.
Is that what it is, mate?
But no, the guy was an amazing. He's a legend of the game, and I had some amazing experiences through golf. Don't get me wrong, I was lucky. When we went out to Florida, we got taken to Bay Hill to meet Arnold Palmer before he passed away, which was amazing. And Justin Rose at Lake Nona got into play around there, and I had some absolutely amazing experiences off the back of it. But yeah, I did it for 3 or 4 years, and then the love slowly died, and I got to the peak of where I could be. I knew I was never going any higher. Like, you could train all you want. Like, them guys are something else. Like when I played with Tommy, you could just see the difference between, like, I thought I was a good golfer, but then he was just leagues above, and I was like, to me that was unattainable. Like, don't matter how much I practiced. Obviously, it was a bit later on in life as well than where most of these start off. So yeah, I got to that point where I plateaued, and I was like, right, now I need to challenge myself again and move on. And then that's obviously where the skydiving came in, and I did that until I injured myself. And yeah, it's been a crazy road, and trying to fit everything else in. And this year's probably been the craziest one of them all, going from the should be dead in January to them being a TV personality on Hunted to now setting up my own business and planning a world record attempt. It's like, it's been a whirlwind of a year, but it's exciting.
I mean, Tree was only reading, I think it was the night before last, he put something on LinkedIn about Route 66, doing it for some brilliant causes. But I Googled it before here to see how long it was. So how long is this going to take?
Well, I made that
Because this isn't a couple of days out, is it?
No. I made the same mistake as you of Googling the distance.
Right.
And the Route 66 is 2,483 miles, I think it is. But some of that hits interstate, which can't cycle them.
Yeah.
So it actually turns out on the bike ride, it's 2,517 miles. Wow. And I'm going to do it in a maximum of 24 days.
My maths isn't brilliant.
I think it works about 105 mile a day.
Right, okay. And so what type of cycling have you done in the past? Has this been a part of your life for a while? Or?
Nope.
So you're just going to get on a bike and hope to do over 2,500 miles?
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
With one leg?
Yeah.
In a country you've not been to for a while?
Yeah. I was lucky. I drove Route 66 for my honeymoon in a Mustang.
Oh, cool.
So I have a picture of the route in my head.
It'll feel very different, mate. Let's not forget that.
I'm going to say I'm going to miss that engine at some point, I'm sure. But
yeah.
No, I think, like, when I was away filming Hunted, and I was just sat down one evening talking to the guy who was partnered with Jordan, and we were just chatting away, and I said, I've had this idea for years, and he was like, oh, now seems like a good time. Like, you're doing all this, you're going to get the profile. Like, so like, do you know what? I'm going to announce it. I'm going to do it as soon as it's out in the world.
Yeah.
But the whole idea behind me doing the bike ride was, I think we worked it out the other week. Up until now, I've raised about 700 grand for charity over different things that I've done.
700,000.
Roughly.
That's incredible, mate.
But I think off the back of the things I've done, every time I do something, it's got to be a challenge.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's going to be the biggest thing I've probably ever done. I'm aiming to try and raise 100 grand for 4 different charities, but I want it to be relatable again. I want. You see the lads riding Tour de France, they're up here, they're like unattainable. Like you see them flying up these mountains in record time. You never, like, for the average person, you're never going to do that because they've been groomed since an early age into cycling. They've been given the best kit. Don't get me wrong, they've got a talent as well. But they're where they're at, their level is unattainable to your average person. Whereas getting some larger than life lad from that now lives in Chorley, like, jumping on the back of a bike and trying to set world records cycling across America with one leg, people can look at that and go, well, if he can do that, like, what can I do? Not everybody's got their own Route 66, I like to say. It doesn't have to be setting world records, but if you can, we're going to vlog the whole story.
Yeah.
Hopefully making a documentary out the back of it as well. So if it all comes off, the whole world will be able to keep up on it and see where we're going. And as you can see, I'm not built like a cyclist. I've never been built like a cyclist. I think I'm about 115 kilograms at the minute, so banging that on the back of a bike's not the easiest. But I know there'll be tough times. I know there'll be days when I'm down here and I don't want to get back on that bike. But using my mindset and my REBORN skills and what the Royal Marines has taught me, I know I'll finish it. I know I'll do it in time. I mean, in my head, being the ex-Royal Marine, I feel like if I get on the bike tomorrow, I'd be able to do it tomorrow. Sensibly, I've got a sensible wife behind me who said, give yourself a year to train, which I've done, and I've been quite lucky. Like, what bike have come on board, they've sent me their best bike to my house.
Oh, nice.
So when the weather's bad, like, because we live in England, unfortunately, we get that weather, that I can train at home as well. REBORN bikes have just come on board. I'm in a full day bike fitting with them tomorrow to get the best possible bike. David Lloyd have sponsored me for the year as well to give me a gym membership. So if I do get invited back to hunting next year and we're travelling around, I can still train while I'm on the road. I've got a good gym on my doorstep as well to utilise for the training, but also the recovery, because they've got the saunas, steam rooms and spa facilities. So I've been quite lucky. Like, people have bought into what I'm doing, and I don't think it'll be possible with the right people around you. Bolton, University of Greater Manchester, their physio department or sports rehabilitation department, they're keeping me fit and healthy on the bike. So I have appointments every week. Every Thursday I'm in there with them, going over any little niggles, because obviously with the injuries I've sustained in the past, my knee was only reconstructed 2 years ago. So that's still not 100%. So I pick up a lot more niggles than most people will. But they're keeping me running, applying me up with all the WD-40, keep my joints moving, and I'm lucky people are buying into it. And
absolutely,
because it will be me doing the ride at the end of the day, but without the support network and like the charity ride itself's not cheap, like, to run. So getting the corporate funding in's been amazing. It's somewhat really like a team effort. And
definitely
looking at everything I've done, like the world's first at this or the program. It's not about the medals, it's not about the world records and stuff like that, it's about the journey and not just showing the world what you can do. But obviously I went through a traumatic incident earlier this year that should have killed me. My lungs are only just about letting me breathe properly again. The blood clot literally filled half of both my lungs, so I only had half a lung on each side working.
Bloody hell.
That the clot's gone now, there's a bit of residual scar tissue there, but that should clear. But the bike ride will help clear the rest of it and get me back fit. But yeah, I'm nowhere near where I should be. I've gone through that, but the ride's not going to only showing the world what you can achieve. It's going to show me again what I can do, and it's going to push me to that uncomfortable zone and show me how strong I am and how capable I am. Like, I've got a 10-year-old boy watching me now as well, and we had a conversation the other day about it, and he was like, "Daddy, you're not scared? It's a long way, that." And I was like, "But it's not, is it? It's only like a mile." And he was like, "No, it's like 2,500 miles, Daddy." And I'm like, "No, it's just a mile, mate." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, if I cycle a mile and then worry about the next mile, then all I have to do is worry about the next mile. So that 2,517 miles, then he's already 3 miles down, and all I've done is worry about a mile each time." I said, "By the time I get to that finish line, and all I've had to do is worry about a mile." And he was like, "I get that." And I was like, that's the way you deal with it. That's life in general. Like, you deal with every little step, break every little thing down and deal with that one little bit that you can deal with right now. Don't worry about the finish line. Nobody climbs Everest by looking at the top, do they? They look at the next step. So you break it down like that and you'll go on and achieve the world. So I'd never expect my little lad to try and do the things that I've done or be the person I am. But if he can watch what I'm doing and then he puts that into his own life and goes on and does whatever he wants to do and achieves it, that'll make me the proudest person in the world. So
absolutely. And where can people find out more about this? We'll obviously share this on the socials so people can donate to any of the 3 or 4 charities that you're working for. But how can people find out more about this?
I have my Instagram page, which is at oneleg87. I also have at the REBORN Mindset Instagram page, but the majority of the bike rides run through my personal one, just to keep business and the ride a bit different. the fundraising page. Luckily, Team Forces is one of the charities that I'm doing it for. They're managing all my fundraising side of things. They've done me a page on their website which links to We Give Star, and that's where, and I think we're launching that in December. I wanted to, because with events like this, like I didn't know myself until I come to do something of such magnitude. Like obviously you get corporate funding in to help pay for flights and the ride. Like we'll have an RV out there, so I didn't want people getting confused, them starting to donate money and we're still paying for this. And then the 100% of the fundraising that comes through the fundraising page is going 100% to charity. So I wanted to get the ride taken care of first before I launched that. So then there's no doubt about it that the 100% of that fundraising is going 100% to charity. It's not going for running costs.
That's right.
I'm not like pocketing any out. It's 100% this is going to charity. So I think we're going to launch that. We're pretty much where we need to be now, getting ready to launch it. So I think it's going to get launched in the next couple of weeks.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that'll be all over the Team Forces website. I'll be sharing links on my socials. Yeah. I've been drag kicking and screaming into TikTok, but I still don't know how that works yet.
I've not explored that at all.
But it's crazy. It's a crazy world.
Yeah.
I was just like, obviously off the back of everything I'm doing to make the most money I possibly can for charity. Yeah. I need to get everywhere I can.
Sure thing.
I have got a few people helping me with the media side of things. I've got a guy who's doing all my filming, and he's going to come out to Route 66, and hopefully we'll make the documentary that way and try and make it nice and gritty and more motivational. It's not just going to show all the highs, it's going to be showing me at my lowest as well, where I'm probably screaming at the camera guy telling him to get out of my face, but yeah, it's what needs to be seen.
Given what you've gone through, and now you can look back with, brilliant hindsight through true lived experiences, what advice or guidance would you offer a 10-year-old you and or your 10-year-old son in relation to what character values are really important in life?
I think there's the old saying, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. So to make things change, you've got to realise your reality. And I think that's it's the fundamental of my talks. It's where it starts with REBORN. I think it's the biggest pillar of my talks, because it's where everything starts. You can't do any of the other steps without having that honest conversation with yourself.
Listen, buddy, it's been brilliant to have you here, and it's
pleasure.
been. I know we've been back and forth for weeks trying to get this sorted. So I know you're a busy guy, much busier than me. You're a TV star now and all that stuff.
I don't know.
It's and brilliant to have you here. But keep in touch about next year. It'd be brilliant, certainly for the viewers and listeners to follow your journey over there. 2,500 mile on Route 66 is, on balance, like so sadistic, but a dream at the same time. It'll be an unbelievable experience. But one, you have to earn your money every mile. It's going to be pretty intense. Best luck with all you do at REBORN. If Commando Joes can support in any way, please reach out. But yeah, it's been great to hear more about your story, about your values, and how you've ended up the person you are today. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant. Thanks for having me down, and good luck with everything you guys are doing. It's brilliant seeing how much you're growing and keep growing. It's fantastic. You're making a massive difference to kids, so yeah, keep at it, mate.
Brilliant, lovely. Aaron, cheers, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's great.